Welcome to FO Talks. With me is Dirk Lueth. He is an advisor to Fair Observer. He's been my mentor. He's a serial entrepreneur. He started the Financial Times in Germany, amongst other things. He's now in Silicon Valley. He'll tell us all about his new venture shortly. But people should know that he has a PhD in economics and he never writes doctor, so he's not your typical German. And he is a damn bloody good swimmer. In fact, he swims twice as fast as me, which makes sense because he's twice as big as me, although you can't see that on the computer screen. Dirk, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. Like to correct, I think I swim 3 times faster than you. No, just kidding.
It's probably true. You have superior German genes, Dirk. I didn't have that. Okay, good. Jolly good. So, Dirk, you're now running a company in the metaverse space. And it's been quite a trajectory in your entrepreneurial journey. You were way ahead of the curve with the FT. You thought of FT as online back in the day. But also, you're the author of the best-selling Navigating the Metaverse. You have a podcast as well. I don't know how you manage to do so many things given 24 hours in the day. But hey ho, there we go, Germans. The three days for Poland and no 3 weeks for 3 days for Poland and 3 weeks for France, eh? Anyway, so let's begin with a simple question. What is the metaverse?
Yeah, maybe to explain it, first of all, I mean, there's lots of definitions out there when you look around, and there's many authors who went through it, right? I also come across, myself learning. I don't think there's a static definition what the metaverse is. Very much like the internet is not somehow a static definition, right? So, but
it evolves. What you're saying is it evolves, constantly evolves.
Exactly, it evolves all the time, and this is what the internet has done as well, right? When you think about it, right? The internet was, when it started out, was just an army thing, right? Back in the 60s, right? No one was really...
ARPANET. That ARPANET became it was a Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency project, and it began as ARPANET and then morphed into internet. And in fact, Ranveer Trehan, another mentor of mine, worked on it. He's now in his 80s.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that's super interesting. So actually not far, where we swam together here in California, actually, that's where the first email was also sent. I don't remember which year it was, but it was probably some in the 70s or 80s, right? That was really... where there was, I mean, just what an achievement, right? You're two different locations, you can send something. Today, of course, we are completely living up to that. But back to the metaverse, right? So the metaverse, I like to define it as somehow like a parallel world. It's not just necessarily because people always think, oh, it's a VR headset and you have to wear those devices on, but it's not like that. At the end of the day, it's a parallel world, right? Which can actually blur with the real world. We have to have that in mind. It's not some isolated thing. And where we can have one or multiple identities, right, which is important, where anything you can imagine exists, which is also, people can have a lot of fantasy in there, right? And but the main difference now towards the internet is also where you do and experience things, right? They're very important. And last but not least, I'm of course very vivid blockchain advocate, right? And also where you own things. That's also new, right? Yeah, so that is how I would describe in simple words the internet. The metaverse, yeah.
I see. So you have just painted a picture that you could own stuff, blockchain, and in a way, that's taking you away from the real world, away from, let's say, your swimming pool or the ocean where you swim, to this new world. And in this new world, there are pitfalls as well. There are some people. We have Bill Softke, who is a technologist in Silicon Valley. He's a self-proclaimed mad scientist. But people like him have been complaining about screen addiction, how screens are bad for your eyes and your brains. They've been talking about social media fixation. And now you bring the metaverse into the loop. Do we really need the metaverse?
It's hard to say, do we need the metaverse? But that would describe the metaverse as a thing, right?
Mm.
Where you either take it or you do not take it, right? But the metaverse is very much like the internet. It's around us, right? And it's not necessarily that you're addicted to the screen. I mean, you can also take it the other way. The metaverse could also be in the future once the devices are developed. Let's say your hardware device, your glasses. And actually, maybe it brings people more out to the streets because they don't need actually to sit in front of a computer screen or a screen because they can do no more things outside. So it's not
Pokemon Go
necessarily
was something like
bad.
that, right? Pokemon Go, that game.
Pokemon Go was a very famous game that brought all the kids outside again. And look, I
Yeah,
mean, as you know, I have also kids, right? And I love,
yeah.
when they go and when we're playing outside, right?
Mm.
So I think we have to see that, and technology and screens, they can also enhance or do things which actually weren't possible before. And we also should not forget that all the kids who are growing up now, they're growing up with these devices. They're just
Yeah.
part of, right? Of course, we've been growing up with books and TV later on, and people were complaining that people were watching 5, 6 hours television a day.
Yeah.
But now they're looking at a smaller screen. It has a little bit changed, right? But
Mm.
people are always somehow related to this to these devices.
I see. So, given the fact that the metaverse is inevitable, as per your argument, what are the benefits of the metaverse? You've already given one potential benefit, that kids may be running about a bit more if we designed stuff like Pokemon Go. But what are the other benefits?
So there's a few, right? Let me run you through them, right? So first of all,
Please.
I say it enhances your digital well-being. To come back to the previous point, right?
Mhm.
In the metaverse, you say, because the metaverse also always seen as a 3D internet as such, right? In the 2D internet, right, you were always scrolling, right? You're scrolling through your feed, actually more like a passive consumption. Of course, you can upload a video and so on, right? The metaverse, when it's 3D, now it's about strolling. You walk around and so on, right? So that means, you actually engage in a much more, effective way, and and it's much more, active, which actually is changes, because when you're more active, you start thinking about it a little bit more, right? Which has actually than just being passive and just consuming. So that's the first thing. Then you can find innovative ways of education, right? So that is, where you can have immersive, interactive learning, right? All of a sudden now, when you are, let's say, in a 3D space, because instead of just being like us here right now on Zoom, right? But now maybe you can also convey different things. So I give you one concrete example from technology perspective. That's for spatial audio, right? When you go into a virtual room, right, and you approach a group, like very much like in real life, right? So
Mhm.
you hear spatial audio, the more you approach them, the louder you hear this group talking, very much like in real life. And just
Mhm.
imagine now you can approach your professor, right, and talk to him and do things, even though you're not in the same location, right? But now many more people can actually also being educated in a, let's say, a more immersive way, which is more human-like, right? Which, because we actually act, we do things, and it's really, I don't know if you really tried it out. When you're in those spaces, always feels that you have been there. So that was the second thing. The third thing is then.
I've tried out some museum stuff in which, in some exhibitions where you can go and go to a bazaar, a Turkish bazaar, or they take you through the Greek agora. And you certainly get a better idea than just reading a book, a 3D idea of what the column or what the temple looks like.
Exactly, right. So you add really the additional things to it, and that's
Yeah.
what makes it so compelling, right? But
Yeah.
that leads us to the third one, right? You have a lot of
Mhm.
more, let's say, economic opportunities, which actually the metaverse also represents. Yeah,
I see.
because now you can create maybe a virtual shop. You can sell digital items to other players, right? And or to other users or whatever,
Mhm.
however you what are you doing in the metaverse, right? So this is also very important. The next thing is the social connections, right? That people can come
Mhm.
together, right? But now you're dissolving the idea that you have to be at the same, physical in the same place. Now people with like-minded interests, they can come into a virtual place, hang out together, connect, right? And do certain things. Then the next thing is it's also, we maybe become much more open to cultural and creative expression, right? So maybe I get now more exposed to something, when I just mentioned, right? I come together maybe with people from China, from Australia, or wherever, right? And they actually express themselves, and all of a sudden I get actually more, immersed into those cultures as well, right? Which is a huge opportunity. And then, of course, the last thing is, and that comes with our very first time, right? It helps maybe also to balance really the virtual and the real worlds a little bit better, right? Because it's a different experience, and just being, instead of being this lean back and passive, you lean forward, you're active, and you do things. You have to start becoming creative and get much more involved.
So you've touted many benefits of the metaverse. Now, some of them sound suspiciously like Facebook. In fact, Facebook has claimed that it is building a metaverse. The company has renamed itself Meta. What exactly is Mark Zuckerberg doing?
So I think Mark Zuckerberg is. I give you one story, and maybe just one step back. When we incorporated our company in 2018, and we come to maybe that a little bit later. I called Upland,
because
for Metaverse.
We want to know more about that too.
Yeah. But at that time in 2018, I told to our marketing team, hey, we cannot really use the word metaverse. No one knows what that is, right? Because no one was talking about it. And then in 21, Mark Zuckerberg published his video, right? I don't know if you've seen that, right? Where he walks around through 3D spaces and rebranded himself to Meta, right? Because I said, okay, I'm going to build that. So, and then, all of a sudden, everyone thought he or she knew what the metaverse is, right? But it's still actually in the making. So what does he do? And of course, I cannot really speak for him a lot, right? But I also know what I see from the outside. I mean, he's building hardware, right? Actually, I have one myself here, this virtual reality headset. So he's doing that, right? It's called the Meta Quest.
Is that called Oculus?
Yeah, well, it was supposed called Oculus, and now it's called Meta Quest, right? That's what it is. It's a nice device. I actually got one for the last holidays, which is, and it's fun. You put it on and you go. I see in virtual concerts. I played virtual video games and so on. However, right, I also still feel after 1 or 2 hours it's very heavy, right? Because when you wear it all the time. Right, because these devices are very bulky and so on, right? But that's what he wants to do.
Apparently, there's a neuroscience thing. Your brain is given stimulations which your body is not. So there's a disconnect going on physiologically as well.
Yeah, that's also why lots of people getting sick, right? Yeah. After using it because the brain cannot digest that. However, I think that I saw also in a research paper once that's interesting is because kids are growing up with those devices, they're getting less sick from VR headsets than older people, right? It's just, the brains are starting to adapt to this new world. And it's kind of interesting to see, right?
So the brain is changing, huh?
Yeah, the brains is changing. We know that, right? Brains are changing, right? We're adopting. We're still, some kind of species who are always adopting to their new environment, right?
Adapt, yeah. So, adapt.
Yeah, we always do that, right? And maybe, I don't know, I've seen also once a movie, maybe in, 500 years, we look different because because we're using all these devices and, head started.
Bigger heads, smaller bodies.
Exactly. So I don't know, but what he's building is, he's building really this virtual and augmented reality platform, right? As such, right? What's he sees it also as the next generation, something which comes after the typical Facebook or the Facebook feed and so on, right? So he's creating virtual social experiences. He's developing something which is called Horizon World. Right, and then he wants to integrate digital economies. He wants to develop avatars, right, and then also
he's also developing a currency based on blockchain, Libra or something.
No, I think that's art. He's not doing that anymore, right? He's stopped with that, right? So, but that's basically what he wants to do, right? But then I think he got punished because he was investing a lot into it, and then he went all into the next big shiny thing, which is AI, right? So,
I see. I see. I see. Okay. Well, you have a company in the metaverse space. We referred to it a few moments earlier. What are you doing?
So we came up actually with a simple idea. First of all, I said, okay, you know that I've been in the blockchain space for much longer than the last 6 years. So and
Yeah, 200 years. Although you look very good for your age.
yeah. So, but yeah, and back in 2018, Matti Honigstein, Idan Zuckerman, and I, we had the idea, right? Okay, why don't we take something? If we want to build something in the next generation, virtual world and all that, right? We say, okay, but we can only do that if we also when you take a different approach to things. But however, you cannot change something overnight. It has to be a smooth transition, right? So that's okay. So how do we do that, right? And how do we get started? We said, okay, first of all, blockchain, because we said blockchain is a very interesting paradigm, a new thing, right? We want to integrate that because blockchain allows you to exchange value. Come to that maybe a little bit later. But we said, okay, let's take blockchain. Let's take the real world and take something everyone knows, which is Monopoly, right? So, because I've never met anyone who's not played Monopoly when he or she was younger. Lots of people are still playing when they're old, right? Okay, we say,
Well, we have many British friends who are addicted to Monopoly.
Oh yeah, it's there are leagues and there's everything, right? It's just it's the most after chess is probably the most played game, right? So that's
in the Western world. It's not so popular in India and China.
Oh, okay. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that could be, right? Because that's a historic reason. I think Monopoly was developed in 1904 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, but we took those ideas, right? And those three things, combined them. And then we said, okay, we're going to launch in the virtual city of San Francisco, where people were able to buy a property. Yeah. So you don't have to be in the city, but you were able to buy it. Yeah. And then we took the inspiration of Monopoly. We said, okay, you start earning a small income once you bought something because it's blockchain. So we could actually distribute our internal currency to them, to the players. And then you have to complete a collection with a property with the same characteristic. Maybe, three properties on the same street, or, it's the actual parcels also, by the way, right? Or three museums and all that stuff, right? So that's how we got started. We called ourselves a property trading game at the beginning. Yeah. But what we also said is, okay, VR headsets are not a mass market thing yet. So we said, okay, where is the mass market? We said, oh, it's mobile. So that's the reason why we started out with mobile first, iOS and Android, and also now today you can also use the web. So the Monopoly, mobile, that's everyone understands, and then we were obfuscating all the complicated blockchain stuff, because if you've ever dealt with crypto or blockchain, you need a wallet, private keys, and all that. It's not that easy, right? So we said, okay, why not make it super simple? What people know. Sign up with email and password, right? That's the way it is. So that was the foundation or the infrastructure we've built. The way people can actually go and extract monetary values by selling digital assets to each other for US dollars. They have to run through KYC because obviously we want to be regulatory compliant. You need a money transmitter license.
KYC, by the way, for those of us viewers and listeners who don't know, is know your customer. If you ever open a bank account these days, it's a nightmare because they've got to know everything, including the color of your underwear.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, did not know that. But that's the way it is. So people can then once they did this KYC, right, they can actually go and sell their digital assets to other players. So since then, we've developed Upland to really a truly platform. One is platform means we can now, I don't want to go too technical, but we can connect other worlds to Upland, Web 2 and Web 3 worlds, because I'm a big proponent of the open metaverse. And
just tell our viewers and listeners what's Web 1, what's Web 2, what's Web 3. You live in Silicon Valley, all right? I live in Washington, D.C. There are lots of people who have no idea. And if you go to other countries in the world, a lot of people are confused. They just know that you have a cell phone and you can watch YouTube on it.
That's true, right? So yeah, but maybe let's start with us because you ask about Web 3, right? So what is actually Web 1? Web 1 was what came around in the 90s when, Mark Andreessen has developed the first browser and made it really consumer friendly. And Web 1 was basically, and as you said at the beginning, I co-founded the Financial Times of Germany, right? So it's really about starting to just to take newspapers to the web, right? So
To the
that's
web.
how one started. Basically, just read, right? You were
Mm.
able to read something. And
Yeah.
then Web 2.0 came around. That was also when you say read and write. So that what that means is also now it was all about social media. Now it's just consuming. Now you were able also to contribute, right? You were able to upload, you could write a comment and so on. It was much more interactive, right? It became social, right? That's why, the rise of Facebook, right? Or Twitter and X, right? And all these other platforms. And now we have Web 3, and Web 3 adds the component of own because it's based on blockchain. And now, thankfully, because we have, cryptographic schemes which we can use in order to transfer ownership from one to each other, right? So we can prove that you, for instance, when you bought like an image, right, that you actually are the rightful owner of that image, right? It's because it's on the blockchain, right? Everyone, because blockchain is a transparent mechanic or database, right? Where you can always look into see who's really the truly owner, right? And because now you introduce that concept of ownership or true ownership, a lot of new opportunities, especially business opportunities, have been generated around it.
I see. So that's the difference between the three. And so, by your argument, by your explanation, rather, you're very much a Web 3.0 company, and you're allowing people to own stuff, play uh, a virtual online property game now.
Yeah, so what we do is, that I'm an economist, right, by training. And
Yeah, of
if you
course. I just mentioned you have a PhD, which is a little better than me.
but the idea is when you're an economist, right, you have different like in the real world, when you have an economy, right, you have always four functions, right, in the economy. You have actually you have land, right, you have capital, you have labor, and you have entrepreneurship, right? And you
Or
can
technology slash
yeah, but it's
technology.
part of that. That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Depends a little bit what kind of school you're following, right?
Exactly.
And the
Yeah.
metaverse is actually the same thing at the end of the day, right? So first of all, you're selling land because you want people, you need the land in order to build something on it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's then the capital component comes in. So capital in terms of money or in terms of machine or something, right? You want to put
Mm-hmm.
some to put the machines actually somewhere. Then you need labor, people who are working for it or around it. And then you have
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurship, the people who are coming up with crazy ideas and to produce the products, right? And the metaverse
Mm-hmm.
is very much actually the same at the end of the day. You are creating a parallel world. You're creating a parallel economy, and that's also, the mission which we have in Upland, right? We say we want
Mm-hmm.
to create actually or build the largest digital open economy, right? And which works very much like in real life, where you have entrepreneurs, right? When I said earlier we were a property trading game, but we've developed Upland much further. You can build now houses on your or structures on your property, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
can operate a shop there, right? So we have over 2,000 so-called metaventures or entrepreneurs who are running their shops now in Upland, right?
And
So
what do
that's
they sell? What do they sell in the metaverse?
so either they sell resell items like in the real world, when you have a shop in the real world, maybe just resell stuff others have produced. So for
Yeah.
instance, we have
So you sell a Nike shoe, or you sell,
well,
you sell this
we're
blue
yeah,
t-shirt
in
or
the real
sweatshirt,
world,
right?
right? But now we're in the digital world. However, I
Yeah.
don't want to assume that one day we also will sell physical goods. But what we
Yeah.
currently our users are reselling items. Let's say with partnerships with the NFL Play Association in the US or with FIFA, right? So we've created digital goods, right,
Mm-hmm.
around the World Cup, right, like a digital scarf or something, and that
Mm-hmm.
people with their own mini, meta venture with FIFA items in there. Now users can sell those to other players, right?
I see.
Resell.
I see.
So
So
that's
you could buy a virtual Cristiano Ronaldo number 7 or a Lionel Messi number 10, something like that.
Yeah, so what we have, for instance, is the goals, right? So when you watch the last World Cup final, right, it was France against Argentina, was one of the best finals
Yes,
I've ever seen in my life. So we can get actually
yes.
the video as an NFT or as a digital asset in Upland. So it's of course now owned by a player because he was
Mm,
able to win it, right? But I don't know if he's actually sell it. I have to check it, right? But I think that's going to be a lot worth, right? The final of Messi in during the
mhm,
World Cup, right? So that's one thing. You resell stuff
mhm,
or you create your own things, right? So you create
mm,
your own digital goods. And why is that interesting now? Because when you have a house in Upland, right, you maybe want to customize it with certain map assets, with ornaments on your house or something. And it's very much like in the real world, right? In the real world, you have designers who are designing maybe for an advertising agency
mm.
or they're creating something for a shop or for a real shop. And now we're doing everything virtual. People are creating something what others people want. So they're creating value, right? So maybe a virtual swimming pool. People want to put a virtual swimming pool on their property. And now other players are creating that. You might say, oh, why do I need that? No, it's all about people are engaging around that content and what makes it interesting.
All right. So um, let's move on to something else you have done. You have co-founded and you are the chairman of the Open Metaverse Alliance for Web 3.0. You've already explained what is Web 3.0. Uh, now, more importantly, tell us, what does this alliance do?
Yeah, so when you think about it, what bothered me a little bit when I saw, blockchain, and when I mentioned earlier, transfer of value is now enabled because of the blockchain technology. I saw that still lots of companies working in their silos. I said, oh no, that cannot be, right? Because we've done that in the past. When you think about it, you probably heard about games like Roblox, Minecraft, Fortnite, right? Or also Facebook. They're all their walled gardens, right? And somehow you're somehow locked into those gardens. I said, no, the new paradigm must be different. Instead of that, we are platform centric, we should be user centric. User centric means me as, Dirk, or you as a tool, right? You own your data, you own your identity, and you own your digital asset. And the ultimate vision is that when you are in the open metaverse, you can take those assets from one world to the other, right? So
So,
you can,
so hold fire. So practically, I can take all my data from Facebook and bring it to you, and I can take it from you and take it to Google or
that's what,
anyone else.
no, no, yeah, but they are all Web 2 companies. They don't allow that, right? But
Okay.
we, as Web 3 companies and now in the open metaverse, we want to allow that. Very much like in real life, right?
Mhm.
So when you have a car and you drive from, let's say, France to Germany, you don't want to park your car at the border and buy a new car when you come to France, right? Right. So
Yes.
that
Yeah,
just doesn't.
that would be very annoying.
Exactly. And that's what we're trying to do actually also in the open metaverse, right? You can take your car from, because we have car racing in Upland, for instance, you can take your car, right? The ultimate vision is from the Upland world to another world, right? It has then, of course, a lot of details, right? Other worlds might look differently, but visually, right? And then you have to see, okay, what kind of data, metadata is this car? Is there an odometer, right? Is there damage in the car, right? So you have to all transfer that into the other world. So there's a lot of things, but this is exactly what we are working on. And that's then the ultimate vision is really that me as the user, I am at the center of everything, right? And I decide what I want to take to and walk around in these different other worlds.
So, how many members do you have in this alliance?
So we have a little bit less than 100 members at the moment, right? And we are, let's say, the alliance for Web 3, i.e., or aka ownership. But we
Hmm.
also liaison agreements, for instance, with the MSF, the Metaverse Standards Forum, where you
Hmm.
have all the big guys in there. So they're also working on standards, right? And they have, I think Microsoft is in there, Adobe, and all these larger companies, right? And they're creating, file formats which we can use
Understood.
and so on. However, everything then concerning blockchain Web 3 is then with us, right, in a certain way.
Excellent. So, AI is the buzzword these days, and you already said it's the new shiny new thing rather, and it seems to be important to the metaverse too. So, can you first tell people what exactly is AI? A lot of people are confused, and two, B, what role does AI play in the new metaverse?
Well, AI is a lot of things, right? And I think what is mostly right now in the media is when you think about ChatGPT or Gemini from Google and Claude, you have a lot of different so-called LLMs, large language models, right? Well, basically they took the information from the internet, and it's not clear where they took it from, and there's a few lawsuits out there, right? They might have taken information from Fair Observer, right? To train the AI, right? To know something.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure they've taken from everyone. They've taken from Wikipedia. They've taken from every newspaper website. They've probably scraped all university websites. I'm sure they've taken everything that's available.
yeah, I'm sure about that as well. But
Yeah.
however, right, and there's a few lawsuits right now
Yeah.
with us taking it out and so.
Yeah.
However, but that's it's basically a chat bot, how they call it. So you can ask it any question, right, and then it responds to you, right. First of all, it's right.
ChatGPT gives me a PhD in economics, even though I don't have one.
There must be some information. Yeah, but that's exactly it. Hallucinates also a lot, right? So you have to be very careful.
Maybe they're confusing me with you, even though you're taller and better looking.
Well, maybe AI is true, right here, right? Anyways, no, but yeah, that's what basically AI do. But they also do other things. So you can actually create, let's say, a picture out of it, right? You can type in, "Hey, show me a dog on a surfboard," right? And then it draws you a dog on the surfboard, right? Which is kind of interesting. I've seen also now examples where they start creating videos out of it, right? And so it's a lot which is coming, right? As you have things in healthcare, right, where you can actually much better analyze, than what humans can do, maybe X-ray pictures and all that. So it's a very broad spectrum, right, where AI is going to be used.
Got it. So it's a number of technologies. It isn't just large language models. It is using algorithms to do a whole bunch of things that so far were not quite possible, or they took a lot of time if they were possible. Correct?
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So we are not just hearing about Web 3.0, AI, metaverse, and blockchain. In fact, you've mentioned all of these things, and you've explained 3 out of 4. We haven't quite talked about blockchain. But first tell us, what is blockchain? You've explained 3 out of 4. But also tell us, what will be their impact on society? What will be their impact on the way we work? What will be their impact on the way we live together? Really, I mean, what are we looking at in the future? How is society, how is the way we work, how is the way we live together going to change with all these technologies? So shoot, Dirk.
Yeah, so look, I mean, the thing is, first,
blockchain first. Please explain blockchain first. Yeah,
I mean, blockchain was basically born with Bitcoin in 2009. There was this famous white paper from Satoshi Nakamoto, who's now no one knows who he is, or she.
It could be the CIA.
Yeah,
that's one conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of theories, right? Then people claiming that they are, Satoshi Nakamoto and so on. I don't know.
Only 500 of them, I'm sure, or maybe 5,000 of them now.
Yeah, probably. I still suspect there was some group here. I don't think it was one person only. I mean, that's just me, right, saying it right now. I don't have no idea, but I think some people from Silicon Valley, right, there people were coming up with that idea. But anyhow, that's no idea. So, but
the whole fire, I mean, a lot of people say that you couldn't have this whole code written up by one person. So it was most likely a group of people, and they came up with some name suitably mysterious, But whatever be that as it may, and now we have a technology that exists. And the important thing is, what is the basis of that technology? How does it work?
So I want to explain in a very simple word. So maybe let's take first Bitcoin, right? Because if you separate Bitcoin, right, as a currency, right, or the store of value, right,
Yeah.
then you have the underlying technology, which is then with blockchain, right? Okay, first of
Yes.
all, Bitcoin is using blockchain and in a very, very innovative way. There's a lot of things what it exactly does, but what I think the most easiest to understand is that a Bitcoin works very much like a bearer instrument. So when you have in a real life, I have a dollar note, right, and I give
Yes.
it to you,
Yeah.
then actually you have it and I don't have it anymore. So we cannot double
Correct.
spend it. I cannot spend my dollar and you can spend it. Only you can spend it now, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
that's what somehow Bitcoin has solved with blockchain, right? The double spending problem. It solved a lot of other things, but that's I think one of the most advanced things. It's like the spare aspect or characteristic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I have a Bitcoin, everyone can see that I own it. Not necessarily Dirk owns it, but people can see my wallet, can see, okay, that wallet has X amount of Bitcoin in it right now, right? And when I now transfer it to Atul, to Atul's wallet, again, not Atul in terms of I know it's Atul, but maybe another wallet, right, which
Got
is
it.
numbers, right? Then Atul has it and I don't have it anymore. Everyone can see that also. It's transparent, right? You can always, that's also very
Yeah.
important. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the core of it. But then people were thinking about it, and I was also in the early 2010s, right, starting thinking about it, right? What else can you do with it? And were the most advanced at that time then was Ethereum, right? Probably
Hmm.
heard that. Well,
Yes, of course. Yeah.
where they came up with the idea, okay, let's make that programmable. Let's use the underlying technology of blockchain, right, for other purposes. Yeah, and that's why how they came up. And now, since then, lots of other blockchains have been created. Names are Solana, EOS, Near. There's a lot of other blockchains out there, right, who doing similar things, but they have certain advantages in terms of throughput, scalability and all that, right? So, but now you can put a lot of other use cases on top of it, right? So use cases beyond, what I'm doing is maybe let's take concert tickets, right? Just imagine now you have a ticket as and you can now, it's only one person who can own that particular concert, right? Or what also has been created and unfortunately was a little bit bad in the news was NFTs, non-fungible tokens, right? That means there's only one piece of something. So let's take your driver's license, right? Which is great for that. Right? There's only one Atul has a driver's license. I hope you still have it. But
No, well, they're supposed to have mailed me a new one. It hasn't yet arrived.
okay, but I think these are the future use cases where you're going to apply a blockchain because it's just much more safer and quicker, to do certain things around it. Yeah.
Okay. So that is fine. Now, how does, as I said, the second half of my question, impact on society, on the way we work, the way we live?
Yeah. So because obviously I say, things that, we see that also AI, right? There's a lot of, noise in the media right now. It's going to
Yeah.
take away lots of jobs and so on. People said the same
And
thing.
Elon Musk is planning a colony in Mars to escape AI.
Yeah, yeah, and you see a lot of things, right? You see those robots now, who are talking to people and doing things. So yeah, so
And
I
soon the
personally,
robots will be killing people, of course. We don't have enough babies anymore, so you have to send robots to war.
that's all these future visions come true. Hopefully, not the bad ones only, right? Yeah, but that's exactly the thing, right? So you have to see that we are somehow some jobs, and that is just what always technology advancements do, are going to get replaced. However, there will be a lot of new jobs who are going to be created. So we don't know which they are at this point. Because when I talked to you like 30 years ago, I said, hey, there's a data scientist. I told you there's an HTML designer, right? 30 years or 40 years ago, it would say, what are you talking about? I don't know what you mean, right? But today it's very clear that because of the internet, we need these kind of jobs. And now with AI, metaverse, blockchain, there will be lots of new jobs going to be created. What is, however, unique and also that's what we are pursuing at Upland is, I'd call it the magic triangle, right? And the magic triangle for me is AI, blockchain, and the metaverse. What I mean with that is, so first of all, you are going to use AI, artificial intelligence, to generate virtual spaces or virtual assets. Yeah, because right now, today, it's a little bit hard for someone who's not really versed in Photoshop or Blender and all these tools, right, to do that. Yeah, so you can use AI to democratize content creation. Anyone can now start creating something and say, hey, draw me, a couch for my virtual space or something. Yeah, it can be also something that you allow to create stuff for the physical world, but let's stay just digital right now. So using AI, so anyone now can create digital goods. However, because we're going to have an influx of content in the future, which comes in, and now we need to see, okay, is it just a rip-off? Does people really own it or whoever, right? And that's where blockchain comes in, because blockchain, as I said earlier, proves ownership. Okay. And that what makes it now interesting, because when you know that you own something, you know also that you can go and sell it. Right. And when you have that, then you actually are much more engaged around the things you create. Right. When you create now, that is very important. Ownership, right? That's when you own a house in real life, right, you take care of it. When you rent it, not so much. Right. So okay, so that's two things: AI, blockchain, and now you need actually the metaverse or virtual worlds, right, in order to use it or maybe to show it and to play with it, right? And that's why it's called the triangle. And again, it's not just that you go into virtual world and do something, totally isolated on a VR headset. In the future, you might leave your home, right, and walk through the streets, and maybe the world is enhanced with some information, and maybe at that moment you're interested in buying it and then owning it and doing something with it, and so on. So that's where I think, because we have those technologies, but I said, to close the loop here, there will be a lot of new jobs created around this triangle of what I call the magic triangle.
Excellent. So let's imagine it's 11 years from now. Let's imagine it is 2035. It's not so far away. You'll still be swimming 10 kilometers, I'm sure. I'll still be struggling to swim one, maybe two. But in this year, 2035, how are people living their daily lives in the metaverse?
So the metaverse will become integrated with us. Today, you might say, okay, mobile phones or the computers are already pretty much integrated with us in our daily routine, right? Now we're doing a Zoom call here, right? It's part of it. And also with the advancement of technology, because it's not standing still, right? So I'm sure, the glasses I'm currently wearing, I'm sure in 2035, the glasses which have augmented reality functions in there, right, will be there. So we might not even be using.
You might see me in 3D. You might see me in 3D instead of 2D.
Exactly. I might see you in 3D, right? I walk through the streets, my world is enhanced. And actually, I'm interacting in a very natural way together with the metaverse, with AI, with blockchain. So I actually don't perceive it as technology. It just becomes something of my daily routine or my daily life, right? It elevates my digital life. That's how that's as part of our, why in Upland, or we call it, right? That's why we're building it, because we want to elevate the digital life of people. Yeah, and I think that is exactly when you see the latest demos of OpenAI, right? When you actually now still have to use your phone, but you're interacting with someone, and you can interrupt that AI. You ask a question, the AI starts talking, and they say, no, that's not what I mean, and then the AI listens to you, and it feels really human-like to have a conversation now. And then 2035, I see that completely integrated with us. It's just, I'm probably just wearing the glasses and say, what is this flower there, right? Or so. And then AI tells me what it is and what, how I to maybe have to maintain it and all these things. So that's what I believe how it's going to be. The technology, and it's coming very fast at us, right? That's also true, especially when you look at the young kids. Yeah.
I see. All right, Dirk, thank you for your time. It's been fantastic speaking with you. We'll have you on again to explain technology and the brave new world that awaits all of us. Hopefully, technology will not replace human beings running and swimming.
I don't know. Hopefully, we will stay strong here.
Excellent. Thank you. See you soon.
All right. Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
Join the conversation at Fair Observer and subscribe to our YouTube channel.